Hello and welcome to my channel Learning Tank. This is Dr. Suruchi Tiwari and today we are going to talk about Australopithecus, which is covered in 1.6 unit number in UPSC syllabus. So let's start. Australopithecus is a genus of extinct hominins that lived in Africa from about 4.2 million to 1.8 million years ago. They were the bipedal primates, meaning they walked upright on two legs. Before Australopithecus, all the primates were not able to walk on two legs. Either they were doing brachiation or they were doing knuckle walking. As in Ramapithecus, in the last video, we have seen that Ramapithecus was doing branch walking with the help of his knuckles, which is called as knuckle walking. But in Australopithecus, for the first time in human evolution, we find that was walking on his two legs. The skeletal remains which we get from different fossils also prove that the structure of the body, the femur, the backbone all indicate towards bipedal walking in Australopithecus. Australopithecus basically are divided into two forms, the gracile form and the robust form. Now, what do we mean by gracile form? Gracile form means all those forms who are slender looking, जो बहुत बड़े नहीं हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा muscular नहीं हैं, big size के नहीं हैं. They are called as gracile form, and the robust form are those forms who are very muscular or they are very big in size. जो बिग फॉसिल्स हैं उनको हम लोग रॉबस्ट फॉर्म में रखते हैं और जो स्मॉल साइज है कंपैरेटिवली उनको हम लोग ग्रेसाइल फॉर्म में रखते हैं. अब इस जनरलाइजेशन के बेसिस पे हमने ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस को दो जेनरा में डिवाइड कर दिया है. कौन से हैं वो? दे आर ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस एंड द अदर वन इज पैराएंथ्रोपस. The gracile forms, the slender looking forms who are smaller in size are called as Australopithecus and they are included under this genera, while the robust forms are included under Paraanthropus. Now let us talk about the evolutionary timeline and the classification. हमारा Australopithecus जो है वो 4.2 million years ago आ गया था अर्थ पे and it lived till about 1.8 million years. जो सबसे पहले हमारा स्पीशीज आया था ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस का 4.2 million years ago, उसका नाम दिया गया है Australopithecus anamensis and it emerged about 4.2 million years ago. Here you can see in this chart that there was a common hominin ancestor from which we get a diversion over here about 5 million years ago, from where we find that the chimpanzees have evolved, and then we see that another stock was developed from where we get Ardipithecus ramidus, and from the other form we get Australopithecus anamensis. So the oldest form among the Australopiths are Amenensis. After Amenensis, we get Australopithecus afarensis. Both of them share the same stock, right? Afarensis dates to near about 3.9 to 2.9 million years. After this Australopithecus afarensis, we again find that there is a line of diversion. Some of them, the robust forms, developed into Paraanthropus aethiopicus, while others again diverged from them. And again we see a diversion over here. One is Australopithecus garhi and other is Australopithecus africanus. Okay? Now it is believed that from the Australopithecus africanus, this is the stock from where we find that the Homo genus evolved. From which of the species we believe that Homo genus evolved? Homo genus evolved from Australopithecus africanus stock, and after Australopithecus we get Homo habilis, which will be covered in the upcoming lecture, And then again we see a diversion over here. From here we find that there is Homo erectus and there is Homo neanderthal, and finally the Homo sapiens came into existence. तो ओल्डेस्ट स्टॉक कौन सा है जो हमारे ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? ओल्डेस्ट स्टॉक है हमारा ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस एनामेंसिस. दिस इज द ओल्डेस्ट वन. देन केम अफरेंसिस and then came Australopithecus gadi, and then came Australopithecus africanus, and Africanus is believed to give rise to Homo habilis or the genus Homo, and this Africanus lived about 3.3 to 2.1 million years ago. After this, in about 2.5 and 1.8 million years ago, we find Australopithecus Sedba. Sedba is believed to be the potential link between the genus Homo and the Australopiths. Now, let us study a bit details about the Australopithecus species. Australopithecus anamensis, the first species, that is the oldest one, which we find over here. We have seen in this slide that Australopithecus anamensis is the oldest one, and we are going to study it first. Australopithecus anamensis was discovered by Leakey in 1995, and the place from where they discovered the fossil was Kenapoi, that was in Kenya. Now, what are the features which we see in Australopithecus anamensis? The features are that the body size was greater than afarensis. अफेरेंसिस और एनामेंसिस दोनों ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस के ग्रेसाइल फॉर्म्स हैं, बट ग्रेसाइल फॉर्म्स के अंदर भी हमें वेरिएशन देखने को मिलता है, एंड ये वेरिएशन हमें बताता है कि जो हमारा एमिनेंसिस है उसकी बॉडी साइज हमारे ऑस्ट्रालोपिथेकस एफेरेंसिस से बिग है. Tooth क्या indicate करता है? You can see here the tooth that is present in this picture. You can see the tooth very clearly. The tooth enamel is thicker than Aramidus. Aramidus species के comparison में जो इसका tooth enamel है वो ज्यादा thick है, which is a primitive feature. The molar cusp shows pattern different from Australopithecus. अब इसको हम लोग most primitive कह रहे हैं, primitive Australopithecus. तो क्यों ये primitive है? ये primitive इसलिए है क्योंकि इसमें जो हमारा मोलर का जो cusp pattern है वो Australopithecus से different है, right? They show a primitive pattern as compared to Australopithecus. Now, tooth row is also parallel, and sexual differences were visible in teeth and mandible as in humans. As in humans, we find that we can differentiate. If we have a piece of a mandible, we can differentiate on the basis of certain characters that whether this tooth, this teeth or a mandible belongs to a male skull or a female skull. Likewise, in our anamensis also, we can differentiate between the mandible of male anamensis and a female anamensis. Next comes Australopithecus afarensis, जिसको कि हम लोग popularly कहते हैं कि we call it Lucy. It was discovered by Johnson and Gray in 1974 from Hadar, Ethiopia. It was called or it was named as Lucy after a very famous song which they were listening at that time. Both the researchers were celebrating at the night on the Beatles song, which was playing the words that Lucy in the sky with diamonds. And they found a skeleton which was 40% of a single hominid skeleton. As you can see here in this figure, most of the parts are original and few of the parts are, about 40% are original and few are the cast. So they found this skeleton and they were so delighted that they named the skeleton after the song, and this named Lucy came up. Now let's see what are the features of Lucy. Lucy is very important fossil because femur shaft of Lucy is very important because the shaft of the femur, as you can see here, this is the femur and this is the shaft portion of the femur. The femur shaft shows an angle which shows the attachment of muscles in the way that they are present in bipedal animals, that is humans, right? So here the femur shaft was having an angle which confirms that the Lucy was walking on his or her two legs. They had converging big toe. Now you can observe here, over here, that their big toe is also not diverging as in apes. They are having a proper converging big toe, which also supports the view that they were bipeds. Now let us see the spinal curvature. The spinal curvature again here is of S-shaped. As in the previous video, I have told you about the skeleton of the when we were doing the changes which took place, skeletal changes which took place in the human skeleton. Then there in that video, I told you that humans have an S-shaped backbone having two curves. Humans have an S-shaped backbone where there is two bulges, two concavities and two convexities, and this helps in the bipedal locomotion. So in Lucy also we find such spinal curvatures which confirm that Lucy was a biped. Now let us talk about Australopithecus africanus. This is also a very famous species and it was discovered by Raymond Dart in 1924 from different sites in South Africa. We get a number of fossils of Africanus. Nearly about, you can say 200 fossils were discovered in last 20 years from the sites of South Africa, which from some of the main sites are like Mecca Pansket, Sterkfontein, etc. And from there they found a skeleton which belonged to a child, and so nicknamed this skeleton as Tong Baby. The Tong Baby skeleton, if you have read in the book, then you can say that it belongs to which species of Australopithecus? It belongs to Australopithecus africanus. Now let's see what are the features. The features of Australopithecus africanus tell us that they had a small and rounded cranium. As you can see here in this picture, that the cranium is very small, rounded. Supraorbital ridges are not pronounced. The supraorbital ridges area you can see here are not very pronounced as they are present in apes. But in Africanus, they are not at all pronounced. Dental arcade is more parabolic. The dental arcade here is more parabolic. They are different from the apes. In apes, it is very deep and parallel teeth structures are present. But here we find a dental arcade which is parabolic in shape. Less sexual dimorphism is present in this species. Now the next species which is important comes Australopithecus Sedba. It was discovered from Lapa, South Africa in 2008. Now there are certain unique characters about this species especially, and what are they? They are that the features, this species shows certain characters of Australopithecus and certain characters of Homo sapiens. Not sapiens, in fact, early homos. Its time period also coincides with the emergence of Homo genus. Now let us talk about the features. As you can see here, that the brain is placed just behind the eyes, as it is present in genus Homo. Here are the eye orbits, and behind the eye orbits we find the brain. Pelvis is more similar to human. If you remember the diagram of human beings, you will see that the pelvis portion is quite similar to humans. Though the attachment of femur is quite different here, but still it very much resembles to Homo genus. The longer thumb and short fingers are present. Here you can see in the hand that the thumb is also longer as comparison to other previous species of Australopithecus. This structure shows that this Sedba able of precision grip. They were able to hold something in the pattern which we call precision grip. Dental features of the species is also quite similar to the genus Homo. Now let us talk about physical characteristics of Australopithecus, like what they look like. Their brain size was smaller as compared to humans. Their brain size was 350 to 550 cc only. So their cranial capacity was small. That means they had a smaller head, smaller looking. Bulge of the cranium was not as that of genus Homo. It was quite less. Now let's talk about the body size. It varied between species. Obviously, we are talking about a number of species in Australopithecus. So in different species, they had different varied body size, but the males were generally larger than the females. So sexual dimorphism was present, and the average height was about 3.5 to 4.5 feet. Let's talk about the facial features. Prominent brow ridges. Though they were not having, in the previous slide, we have seen that they were not having any supraorbital ridges, right? Australopiths were not having supraorbital ridges, but the brow region was prominent. As you can see over here, that the brow region is prominent. Still in Sedba also, you can see that the brow region is prominent, but supraorbital ridges are absent. Prognathic face is present, that is, the jaw is jutting forward, and a smaller brain case. As we can see that the brain size, cranial capacity is low, which indicates that they have a smaller brain case. Now let's talk about bipedalism. Are they bipeds? Can they walk on their 2 feet? Yes, they can, because in Latioli we have found the footprints of Australopithecus, which confirms that they were bipeds, and their physical structure, anatomical structure also indicates towards the bipedalism. The convergence of the greater toe also indicates towards bipedalism, which confirms that Australopiths were capable of bipedalism. Walking upright requires less energy than knuckle walking. So they developed this bipedalism, and because of this bipedalism, they had conserved their energy, and now they can use it in some other things, and they utilize this energy in various other fields. Let's see what. Improved visibility. Now, once they were walking on 4 limbs, but now here they have started doing bipedalism, because of which their height was increased. They were allowed to see over the tall grasses, because that time the earth was covered with the tall grasses, and hence, as their visibility was increased, they were able to locate their predators and accordingly take the measures to safeguard themselves. So they used their improved visibility in saving themselves from the predators. Then the upright posture also freed their hands for carrying objects and tools. Now their hands were not being used in locomotion, so their hands were free. And from these free hands, they utilized in tool using and tool making and acquisition of food. So bipedalism was very beneficial to the species, and because of which the species became energy efficient. They got improved visibility, because of which their survival rate increased, and they got free hands which they used in the facilitating their tools, carrying their objects, and in food acquisition also. Now, were they using tools? They were using simple rudimentary tools. We can say that the natural, they were not making tools actually. But they were using rudimentary tools made of stone, primarily for cutting meat and processing plant material. Some species may have utilized bone tools for tasks like digging and processing food. Limited, their technology was not very developed. Their technology was relatively basic as compared to hominins. The later hominins, you will see in the upcoming lectures, they were using proper stone tools, they were carving their tools, they were making it, and they were as in Homo erectus, you can see that they were planning their technology was at the level that they were planning the hunt of an elephant, and their sites have revealed that they have hunted even the elephant. So their technology, their tools were very efficient, but in Australopithecus we do not find such things. But they represent an important step in the human evolution, where we can see that initial phase of tool using had started. Now, what were they eating? Australopiths likely consumed a variety of plant foods, including fruits, seeds, and roots. Whatever was available, they were eating it, and this raw consumption of food is also confirmed by the thick enamel which is present on the teeth of Australopithecus. Their diet also included insects, which they may have collected from ground or from trees. Evidence suggests that some species may have scavenged meat from larger predators. So they were kind of omnivores. Whatever was available, they were consuming it for their survival. So what are the conclusions we can make from the presentation? That the Australopithecus were bipedal primates, and they were the first hominins to walk upright on two legs. Before them, we do not find any bipedalism. They show rudimentary tool usage also, which is an important step in the development of human technology. Their brain was smaller than those of later hominins, but their cognitive ability was still significant. Right? Their brain size was small, but they were they had some cognitive abilities. And the food they are eating shows that they thrived in a variety of environments, demonstrating their ability to adapt to the changing condition. When they were getting plants, they were having plants. When they were getting seeds, they were having seeds. When they were getting insects, they were eating insects and worms. They were eating meat from the which was left over from the predators. So they were open for any kind of environment, and their ability to stand up on their two legs also helped in their survival, because of which it became the most adaptable species and the ancestor for the genus Homo.